Hello, Internet. We are back. Kevin Johnson. We're carrying on with entrepreneurship. Kevin, you're welcome here. I say it all the time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you're doing. There will be a lot of people. There'll be a lot of people one day who will say thank you. I'm quite sure of that. And if you do feel like you feel thankful, then contribute to the Free to Battalion Association. But we'll get to that. Today we're speaking about quarterly reports and then establishing goals. But it's over to you. I'm just going to sit there. Let me just say to everyone, I'm still coughing a bit, and our poor Kevin will see me coughing. I hope you don't, who's watching here. But further than that, we're fine. Thank you for all your good wishes. It's deeply appreciated.
Good. Well, thanks very much. Well, just to recap quickly about these 8 entrepreneurial freedoms that we're sharing, it really is designed for people who are simply wanting to make their future bigger than their past. So, people that are now chilling down, winding down, starting to look at retirement and that they've got maybe a year or two to go, maybe this stuff is probably not applicable for them. But people that are really setting ambitious, big goals, regardless of their age, this is what these 8 freedoms are all about. So what we did say in the last episode was that, we're in the freedom through money, and we've done the Euro unit in it, and then we were going to move on to the lead unit. But because of, we missed last week, obviously we have to put the freedoms through money just to the side till next week, and then we'll start again for 3 weeks on it and concentrate more on what really happens at the beginning of each quarter, because now we are obviously into the beginning of the first quarter of 2022. So what I will do is I'll share with you how I go about it, and then obviously, of course, you as the student, you can just run with it. But as you get more and more into these 8 freedoms, you can sort of adapt it to the way that you feel comfortable. All right, so basically what we want to look at here at the beginning of each quarter is to pull out the mindset scorecard that's at the bottom of each of the videos. That's the 8 mindsets. And then what you do is you score yourself where you are right now and where you'd like to be at the end of the 90 days. In other words, at the end of this quarter. So that then helps you to self-identify where you are and where you'd like to be. It also then gives you an opportunity to use those questions that I used at 3 to Battalion, which is what's not working and what's working. So maybe just to get a feel for that course, you might just want to spend a little bit of time, maybe just jotting down a couple of things that haven't worked for you last quarter, and what is working for you.
Okay, I'm doing that quickly.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, I made 2 points for each. What didn't work?
Okay.
Of course, I use the channel as the business.
Say again?
I'm using the channel as the business.
Yes, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so just to sort of lay out, I've actually done mine this morning, because basically my new year has really started today. So to give you an idea of how much time I spend on it, so the scoring of the scorecard, together with the answering of those questions, okay, takes me about 40 minutes. Because I call it playing the game. So for me, playing the game is 40 minutes, rest 10, 40 minutes. That's a game completed. So what I would do at the beginning of each quarter is I would go through those questions. I'd go through the scorecard. As I said, that's at the bottom of the video. And then into the second half what I would do is I would go and do my goal setting for each of the 8. So what I will be doing is I will be putting down at the bottom of this video, okay, what process I use to set the goals. So what I'll do for you, Chris, is I'll read it out to you, and then you can spend about 4 minutes, setting a goal based on one of the 8. And then obviously, you can then ask me any questions you might have about the process, because that's important. Okay, so if you go down to mindset number 8, you'll see there's an acronym, G.R.O.W, and it's that process that I actually use to set my goals for the quarter. So I don't go near my staff at all until I'm actually clear on these 8 goals, and then I share it with them. So the G, okay, is what do you want? And why do you want it? Now, bear in mind, the goals I'm setting are ambitious goals. And not just ordinary goals. Right, so the G is, what do you want and why do you want it? So if you can just complete that. If you've got any questions, you can ask me, otherwise we can move on.
Okay, I answered that.
Good. Any questions on that one? Self-explanatory?
No, it's good. I understand.
Right.
I want and why.
Then we move on to the results. And with the results, it's best to have like a number, a percentage, because you've got a due date already, it's the end of this quarter. So preferably a number, a percentage in the result. And there's 2 parts to the result, which is the R in the acronym. And that is, what's the best result? Meaning, if you do it. And what's the worst result if you don't go ahead with that goal?
Okay, I wrote that down.
Good. Good. And then we get to the obstacles. Okay. And there's 2 ways of looking at obstacles. You either see it as a negative, because the brain has been all excited now, up until now. It's seen a bigger vision, the goal, it's seen the results, it's getting excited. But then when you come to the obstacles, okay, that's where the brain plays tricks. And in some cases it says, because bear in mind, it's a big goal, so you don't necessarily have the capability. And when you reach the obstacle, you go, no, I don't know what to do here. So then obviously that's the end of the process. So what I say to people out there is be positive, okay, and see obstacles, okay, as just a growth towards the next step. So definitely in that particular phase of grow, it's all about having the right mindset, a positive mindset.
Okay, I've noted down 3 obstacles.
Good, good. And then we move on to the last part of the acronym, which is W. So as we have said consistently in previous videos, this is where you start to reframe the question. So rather than saying, how am I going to now tackle this obstacle that I don't perhaps know how to solve, ask yourself, who's going to be helping you? And that's a part where you must get muscle memory, and you will get it, that you move away from how to asking yourself who. That's what entrepreneurialism is all about.
I'm sitting here and I was shaking my head. And I was shaking my head because the obstacles has now become not really big anymore. Because there are people who can deal with this, who's not.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. If you're a leader, okay, and you're an ambitious leader, and you've got a company, okay, it's your job to have the vision. It's your job to come up with the goal. Most important of all, why do you want it? Be very clear on how you see the results. And then work with others to achieve it. And many times, if I'm coming up with something very ambitious, I go, what do I want? Why do I want it? I start to articulate the result. I don't go past the obstacle. I don't go work on the obstacle. What I do is I find the who's, and they take care of the obstacles. So there's many ways in which you can use this formula and process. The magic also of it is that my best intelligence and creativity is when I stay in my grow, rather than continuously seeking it outside of my grow. And I can assure you now, the more you use the formula, the more you'll realize that you've got more than enough ambitious goals that you can come up with. And especially if your why is exceptionally strong, okay, it'll give you the motivation to see it through when you start to hit the hurdles. A weak why means that when the hurdles and they come your way, it's a lot easier to give up because you don't have that passion and drive to actually see it through. And if you don't have the passion and drive, in other words, your why is not that strong, you will always have weak who's around. And then eventually, when you have a look at it, you'll say to yourself, well, it's better that I just do it myself. Well, you're going to be doing it yourself because you're sitting with weak who's. I don't work with weak who's. I've got strong who's because my why is strong. So, there's a bit of a formula here within the formula, if that makes sense. It's a formula, it's a path, it's a process, and it works.
What happens if you identify a who can help you, and for some reason it didn't work out, or this person can even be dead in a month from now? Do you then go back and you just get somebody else, or do you go through the entire process again?
No, if your why is strong enough, you'll just continue to find that person or organization that will actually help you. So, there will be the odd occasions where you go, oh, I picked that one incorrectly. But generally speaking, you're off to the races and it works. Otherwise, what you're sitting with is that you start watering down your goals so that you can achieve it. Whereas that's not the whole idea of this. Those little goals, you continue to do. I'm talking about big, ambitious goals.
So you need to also understand that even if you achieve 80% of your goals, it's not necessarily failure, is it? Because it's so big. You can't bewangle them in your mind. I mean, you get people who's cautious, and then they would say, okay, let me rather go for the little figure because I don't want to be disappointed. But you don't see it like that. You see like
No, because you see, the thing is, you've got lots of other goals going on in your life, in your business. This is where, at the beginning of the quarter, you're saying, right, I've got 8 freedoms. I'm going to be setting 8 goals. And I know with these 8 that I'm setting, these are big, ambitious goals. But I've got a formula and I've got a process, and I'm going to see it through. Now, when you get to the end of the quarter, like in my case, I've got a 25-year goal. So when I get to the end of the quarter, let's say I haven't hit it. Well, the funny thing about it is that if you've got 80% achieved on a big goal, that can be 3-4 times more valuable than the mini goals. So I wouldn't be worrying about that.
Am I right to say that this comes back to your Chief Courageous Officer? You cannot live in fear here.
You're becoming a very good student. I'm proud of you. Remember, we said, if you look at the courage muscle, the Chief Courageous Officer, the first mindset, okay, what you're doing is you regularly committing to a bigger and better goal. You're going down through a period of courage, which is a balance of fear and excitement. And then you come out the other side with new capability, new confidence that gives you the motivation to keep doing it. So it's a plan and a process as well, okay? And courage is required, because if you go, as I said in the previous videos, if you go back into your past, you will discover that your big breakthroughs were where you were courageous. But if you stay in your comfort zone of confidence and capability, you won't see the same results there. And in actual fact, I know it because I experience it. If I stay in my comfort zone, okay, my confidence starts to dwindle. Whereas if I go on to the other side of the quadrant and I commit to a bigger and better goal and go through that period of courage, that's what gives me new and better confidence. People say to me, well, Kev, I want the confidence, but go, no. You can't have the confidence until you're courageous, the new confidence. And I said, you can't have the confidence before you get the new capability, and you can't get the new capability before you're courageous, and there'll be no courage unless you commit. So, you can't break that code. It's timeless. It's been like that for the human in the past. It's like that today, and it'll be like that into the future. But like everything else, you go to the gym, you're going to train the biceps, and you haven't done it for a long time. Well, use a lightweight. And the next time you go in, you'll put some more plates on, and eventually you're very surprised how strong you can get after 90 days. The courage muscle is exactly the same. You have to have that balance of fear and excitement.
Well, there's also anticipation. I can imagine that if you actually achieve your goals and you have a clear path, you're just going to get more courageous as you go along.
Yes, yeah.
mean, you'll frighten yourself, actually.
Yes. Well, if you go back to the courage video, you'll see there we spoke about opening up a courage library for yourself. And there's no doubt about it. I keep one and I keep looking at it. And every time I go through this formula, I put the next one in there and I can see, that muscle's getting stronger. Now, this is all a lot of bullshit, obviously, to people that are winding down or who are at a stage in their lives where they say, no, I've had all of that now, I'm just going to stay in a comfort zone. That's cool. Absolutely fine with that, because that's, what that person's decided to do. So this that we're going through here is not for everyone. Because let's face it, we've been hardwired since, whenever we could make sense of things in our teenager life, where we heard grandpa saying, oh, I'm out at 60, I hate this company. Then you heard the dad talking about it, and then you had a career in the military, or you worked in a corporate environment. So everyone tells you, oh no, 60, 65, you're finished. And I say to people, well, myself, I'm absolutely motivated and fascinated by what I'm doing. So why would I want to retire? And then they try to second guess you by saying, yeah, but don't you want to play more golf? I said, no, I can play as much golf as I want to. Oh, but don't you want to go on more cruise line trips? Okay, I can do that as well.
Freedom through time.
That's it.
I've heard a story once. There was this fellow who went to Thailand or someplace, and he was at the bar, beach bar. And he met this guy, and this guy said to him, I own this place. I've got 2 boats out there, make a good living. And he started the MBA crap on him. He said, well, now, why don't you invest in more boats? And then you can have a fleet of boats, and then you can franchise your pop, and you can have your pop is everywhere. And the guy says, but I don't want that. I have a perfect lifestyle here. Well, this is what I want.
Yes.
And I think that was actually courageous, because this guy had to figure it out. And I think that's what your program is bringing to us, Kevin. In business, you cannot depend on luck alone. You cannot depend that, okay, just carry on, big client will arrive, no problem. It just doesn't work like that, unless you're lucky. And most of us will never be lucky.
Yeah. Well, the informal group that I hang out with is about between 40 and maybe 60, and they all got the big number. Like in my case, it's like I want to live to 135, but my friends and everyone will laugh at me and that's okay with me, because it's just an imaginary number and I've got a story behind it. But what it has done, it changes the way I think and behave in the present. And we meet every quarter, and we did one there just before Christmas on that. And some of the students actually in the big workshop are actually doctors themselves, and some of them are longevity doctors. And they say, the data clearly proves that those who continue in work to do what they love and they're passionate about live longer than those who stop working. And then someone said to me one day, yeah, but the pressure and the stress that you've got to put up with. I said, no, you work for a corporate. We're not talking about that. We're talking about people that are absolutely waking up every day and you're loving it and you're passionate about what you're doing. Okay, like that opportunity is afforded mostly to entrepreneurial people. Because, if you look at the large corporates, and I've got mates that work here in the big financial city in London, and, they they will talk about, in our organization, 63, you've got to pack it in. And I say, why? And they go, well, our company feels that you're getting too old. And they're sort of senior managers and that. I say, yeah, but the executive chairman is 78. So, how does he hold such a big job with such big responsibility? And he's 78. And so that just shows you, that there's still that old way of thinking in these corporates. And basically what they're saying is, it's time now for you guys at that age to leave so that we can keep the younger ones motivated. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to promote them because, yes, Mike, Tom, whoever it is, you should be going on to 75 with us in our organization because the executive chairman is 78. But unfortunately, that is only there for the few.
I was wondering while you were talking, what happens if you start burning out and that was such a pleasure to you now becomes like work? To what do you reach back?
Sorry, just say that again.
To what will you reach back in the terms of a freedoms? If you start feeling that you're just being burning out here, you used to love what you were doing, but now it's not like that anymore.
Well, I find I'm glad that you actually asked that question, because if you go back to the freedom through purpose, so I tackle something big and bold, and then you go to the second part. It's in the video. It's what fascinates and motivates you. So that's a very good question. So what I want you to do right now, okay, seeing it's the beginning of the year as well, is to say to yourself, okay, for this year, what are the things that I shouldn't be doing? And then you have one column where you write it down. Now with me, normally this would take about 40 minutes, so half a game. Write them all down. And I've been doing this now for 5 years. Yeah, 5 years. And I did mine for this year. And I'm getting rid of 1,650 hours. 1,650 hours. So that I can continuously grow the business in an ambitious way. And at the same time, continuously be fascinated and motivated. And because I've got a number of 135 that I want to go to, and because I've got 8 freedoms where I'm setting goals, I don't burn out. I don't get bored. Those things just simply don't happen in my life because I just work it and work it and work it, these 8 freedoms every quarter, 1 quarter at a time. And as I said, 25-year goal, 1 quarter is just 1%. Don't do too well, it's just 1%. Have an excellent quarter. Wow, if I can achieve that in 1%. And that's my attitude in life. But it's not for everyone. Although I must say that I notice our informal get-togethers with people coming up with their big number of where they want to live to, is growing exponentially.
Yeah, you should have called this the 8 truths of business.
The 8 truths.
Yeah, because it seems to me that it takes over your life as well. Like we were talking now, where you can feel burned out, fine, then go back to your purpose and replay the game.
Yes.
then you will quickly realize, because the facts will tell you, the figures in front of you will tell you exactly what's going on. And once you know what's going on, of course, you can do something.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, there's a lot of guys that are trying to achieve something in a very short period, simply because they don't actually like what they're doing. So, of course, there's going to be stress, there's going to be burnout, there's going to be frustration. I just want to set every quarter big, ambitious goals, use the tools that I have available, like the who rather than the how, and just keep growing, keep growing, keep growing, so that, you know, my mind said, hey, this guy's all about growth. Take care of yourself health-wise. So, you know, when that car drives around looking to pick up people to take them to the mall, they go past Keith's place, they say, oh no, not a fuck, give him a miss, he's too difficult.
I was speaking to somebody yesterday. It was a recording which will come out soon. A guy called Marco. And Marco has a fantastic story. He was in a rattle during Skeptic. And the rattle got shut out. And he was about the only one, perhaps another one, who got out. And the rattle was fully loaded. Then they made their way to a second rattle. And that rattle got shut out by the 14.5 millimeters, 23 millimeters. And now Marco was really wounded. I mean, up to then he was wounded about 5-6 times. Now he was wounded 13 times about. And all the time he was basically thinking of control. And while you were talking, I was thinking by myself also, yeah, that a lot of time when you become negative or you become annoyed, it's because you don't feel you're in control. You feel that circumstances are perhaps getting hold of you here. And that's the magic of your program.
Yes.
Because, Kevin, your program will not allow for that. Or am I totally wrong?
No, you're 100% correct. Because if you listen to that, I'll throw some examples from different angles, and I'm sure that, you know, the listeners will resonate with one or two of them. So if you take Jenny, okay, she mentioned something on Sunday in her video. And by the way, that's a very good video. So I would say to people, listen to that one. She was a nursing sister at Buffalo. So, you know, when you look at the G in GROW, what do you want and why do you want it? You intellectually, what do I want, and emotionally, why do you want it? And she made something very interesting comment, because I think you initiated where you said emotions are important because it's healthy. And then she said, as long as it doesn't get the better of you. Okay, so when you're tackling these big goals, etc., and then you start to feel like you've just mentioned, in my freedom through health, in the 4th quadrant, and everyone's got it because they can just go back to that video, I talk there about meditation. And meditation is a fantastic thing to help you to cope with stress, burnout, and various other things. Because I have now read it many, many times, but now I know I experience it. You and I, we are not our thoughts. And I'll give you a very good example. It takes time to strengthen this muscle. So worst scenario is you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and the thoughts start to spin. So what you do is you run with those thoughts, and then they can develop into monsters. Conversely, you say to yourself, I'm going to count back from 1,000. Breathe in, breathe out, lying there in bed. 1,999. Over a period of time, when the muscle starts to strengthen with the counting, you discover something. Geez, using this formula, most times I fall back to sleep straight away. Whereas prior to using something like that, because that's not the only thing, those thoughts get and those feelings get the better of you. So we are not our thoughts and feelings. Now, the beauty of that, it gets you to be more effective at the workplace as well. You learn to be more aware of being present. You concentrate better. You focus better. You get into the zone better. And that's why Jenny said, you must not let the emotions get the better of you. But it's needed in goal setting, something we're working on at the moment. Then you'll look also with another great video that you've got, Ops Super. And if you listen there to that fantastic pilot, Neil Ellis, I mean, what would we have done without him? Is he talks about the night before or the morning before, how he visualizes the whole thing. That's what meditation's about. So meditation you can use to focus, you can use to calm, you can meditate to see abundance, you could meditate when you're going to do something big like he was doing. And did you notice also that he said, even though his leg used to shake and he used to smack it, the fear and excitement was unbelievable. Well, that's really what I'm not saying at that level, but that's what grow's all about. You're tackling something big and ambitious. And obviously you don't have the skills to see it through. So you go through that period of fear and excitement.
It's fascinating to me how everything reflects back to the military and what people has gone through. They just don't understand, perhaps, you've already done this in a certain way. It's not completely new. It's just a refocus of a mind.
Yeah. I'll be brutally honest. If I hadn't over many years formulated a process for me, and then rather than qualitatively sort of doing it, but quantitatively doing it by measuring myself, I perhaps would not have gone back into my period in the military and found the things that were good for me, because I wouldn't have been thinking about them. So I find golden nuggets all the time from my youth.
Yeah, indeed. I find this very fascinating. I have to thank you again. I think looking back on my own life, it could have been a lot less stressful if you didn't let your brain rule you.
Yep. That's why I say we're not our thoughts.
And that's what Franz said too, in a certain way, the psychologist, where he started talking about sometimes you have a fight going in your head, it didn't even happen.
Exactly.
And yet you like ready to fight for something which was just in your mind.
Yeah. And we don't need, I can tell you now, if you take a holistic approach to life, in other words, you look after yourself from a health perspective, when it comes to your sleep, you're quite protective of it, you wake up during the course of the night. That's not the time to be, stressing on that. The body needs the rest. Then what you actually find is that when you come to the workplace, like in my case now, and I'm teaching my staff to do it, is we play games. In other words, we know what we're going to do, but it's a game. 40 minutes, rest 10, 40 minutes, that type of thing. You start discovering that when you sort of get your attention, your awareness, and your concentration and your focus right, and then you're getting into flow, you're actually discovering that even though they're big, bold, ambitious goals you're tackling, you don't need as many hours in the day. Whereas, versus staying in your comfort zone and going, oh, well, I've always done it like this, I'm going to put in 11 hours today. Now, if you've got a certain type of job and you're working for someone and they say, I'll pay you this if you work 11 hours a day, well, that's a different story. I'm talking about, an entrepreneurial person that's in control of his own freedom of time.
No, you're quite right. I actually fully understand what you're saying. And the point is, if you want to be holistic, you also need to be happy. And you will not be happy, or your wife will not be happy if you start working 18 hours a day in and day out. There's going to be repercussions.
Yeah. Well, Franz, the psychologist, I've had quite a few chats to him and that, and I'm intrigued by, not intrigued. I mean, I buy fully what he says and that. And he made a comment where he said one day, everyone's seeking happiness, yeah? But they're seeking happiness outside of them. You've already got it. You just need to obviously nurture it, develop it, or whatever it is. So my view is that happiness will come if you have meaning in life. It's all about having meaning in life. And so for me, my definition of meaning is big, bold purpose. And am I fascinated and motivated? That's meaning for me.
Yes, I was just about to say that purpose and meaning, very similar things.
Yes, yeah. Because if you don't have purpose and passion, or especially passion and meaning in the business world, you're going to hit obstacles. So there's no passion driving you. You're going to give up. You're going to give up after a couple of obstacles, because that's just the way the brain works. But if the passion's there, you think, I'm going to get up, shake myself off, and I'm going to come back better and club this obstacle. I'm sure if you're listening that one that I listened to this morning to Ops Super with Blackie and that, I'm pretty sure that they were, nervous or whatever it is, because they were relatively new in the unit. Probably thinking, oh God, I wonder if I can miss this one. But once he had that first one under the belt, I'm telling you now, he wanted more. Because we were all like that.
Yes, he did a fantastic job there. I see General Bowman wrote there that it was the biggest firefight of the war. That specific afternoon. In context, of course. Takes a lot of guts. They knew they got the enemy cornered there and the enemy would be fighting back.
I always said to myself when I was in that unit, it's like in the one in Ops Protea, when we were a bigger group with the Fappler and all of that. And when it triggers, it's just you guys on the ground. And once again, good old Neil and his guys in the air. And that's it.
Do you ever get that feeling in business? That it's you against and make or break time?
No. I do. I would say the big thing that's come from me is that leadership comes natural, and delegating, that's why I've got who, not how, comes natural, because besides coming up with the big goal, what I want and why do I want it, and then being clear with the result and being prepared to put my money where my mouth is, then I'm probably a lazy son of a bitch. So no, I wouldn't say that in any way does it get to me. It comes over many, many decades. I back myself.
And of course, you play your games all the time, so you know what you want.
Yes, I mean,
You have
God,
your purposes. You're not confused. You're not running left and then right, and
yeah,
you do know where you're going.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, I played the game. So, seeing you've asked the question, I'll tell you that what I discovered is you, the entrepreneurial person that comes up with the vision, when you're in the work environment, then at times you have to be the manager. And then at times you have to be the practitioner. I'm in a meeting now with X amount of consultants, busy showing them things and that, then I'm the practitioner there. And what I've come to discover is that myself, the entrepreneur, myself, the manager, and myself, the practitioner, I'm three different people. And the minute you concede that they are three different people, as mad as that might sound, the better you are when you go to play the game. Meaning, when I go and play a game, I say to myself, what am I going to play this game now as? The entrepreneurial guy? Or am I going to play this game as the manager? Or am I going to play this game as the practitioner? And that helps you to get much better value out of that 40 minutes first half, 40 minutes second half. Because then you're not all over the place. And I notice with a lot of people, those three things bring a lot of conflict and that into their lives. There's a time to be a manager, there's a time to be a practitioner, and there's a time to be the entrepreneurial person, the vision. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm beginning to think we've discovered the best management tool which I can think of.
Yeah. Now, I must just add that for those who have bought the book already, the E-Myth, so this thing about the entrepreneurial, because I don't read many books, I bought that book a lot. Now, in actual fact, someone told me a very, very, very long time ago, buy that book. And when I read it, I said to myself, wow, this is me.
But we only mentioned this book in about episode 5.
Yes.
Does it matter? Do you need to read it before the 8 freedoms?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because what you will find is that when we go next week into the freedoms through money, okay, we'll be spending another 3-4 weeks there. And then obviously I'll start bringing this all together.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. And I hope that everyone listening here will carry on. We'll just carry on. We lost not last week. There were personal reasons and I was a bit ill. But you were listening here, you don't have to lose anything. You just carry on. All the videos will be there. So you have to start at the top. If you've come this far, you can just as well finish. If you can't see the value by now, then there's something wrong. Then go back.
Yeah, and once we've gone through the 8 freedoms, we're going to be on the channel at the beginning of every quarter. Then we're going to be on the channel mid-quarter, talking about where we are with our goals for the first part of the quarter. We'll then also be getting the psychologist on, because there's obviously some psychological things that could be holding you back, like imposter syndrome, etc. But, we leave that to the pro to talk about. Right, so there we go, Koos. So based on today, would you say you got some more direction in your business?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. Good. And then would you say you got some more confidence?
A lot more confidence.
Right. And have you picked up some new capability?
Yeah, absolutely, because I understand now direction.
Good. Well, that's fantastic and it's good to hear. So what I do say to the audience out there once again, we're not charging anything for this, but if you're getting sort of direction, confidence and clarity and capability out of this, then, we would appreciate it. The details are at the bottom of the video to give something to the 3-2 Battalion Veterans Association, no matter how big or small, it would all be appreciated. So just one more thing then from my side. As I said, next week, we'll be back into Freedom Through Money, and we're going to spend 3 sessions on it.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, and I want to thank you once again. There's 2 ways of looking at a program like this. One is negative, the usual, why would it work? And the other way is just to look at it and then become confident and become positive, like I did. I was very skeptical, I will say that. But now I'm not. I'm actually excited because it's giving me clarity of thought. I don't like the idea of not being in control. I like the idea that I want to know where I'm going and be able to measure where I'm going. And I think that's important. So thank you, Kevin. This is helping me.